while since my last video. I feel like I've been in a little bit of a creative slump the last couple of months, so I've just decided just to take a little step back, and I've done a little less blogging and vlogging, as you could probably tell. What that does mean though is that I've got a bumper edition of Makes Me today, because this is a culmination of a couple of months of work. So grab a cup of tea and a biscuit and enjoy. So the first thing I'm sharing with you today is this dress. This is one of many Fibre Mood dresses I've made recently. So this one is the Elma dress. It was from this summer's issue. I've made this dress once before, a few months ago. I don't know if you remember. I made this like long, pink, lovely princess dress with it. Anyway, a few weeks after that, months, I can't even remember at this point, I found this dress off Net-a-Porter. I was just browsing for inspiration, found this gingham dress, and I was like, oh, I know what I could do to make something that looked very similar to that, and I thought I'd have a go. So this is just a gingham cotton. I couldn't find it in black and white, so I decided the red and white would work as well. And just to kind of recreate the look of the dress, the pattern itself was already really similar in that it's got this kind of square neckline, these princess seams down the front and back, and the only real difference was kind of the size and shape of the sleeve, and also the back. So the back of the Elma naturally has a kind of square cut back. Don't mind my bra straps, but the original had it kind of the back all the way up to the back of the neck. I wasn't so worried about that. I thought I'd keep the square back as well because I quite like that. In order to create the kind of corset effect that the original dress had though, what I've done is basically made loads of this cord, which is just a really long strip of fabric, a couple of long strips of fabric in fact, that I've turned inside out with a loop turner. And I use little pieces of that to make these loops and put them in at the same points in the main princess seam on the front, and similarly on the back of the dress. And I've done them at the same intervals and done 4 rows of those, and I've done the same on the back, as you can see here. And then use the remainder of the ribbon tie to lace it through. And the sleeve itself I've made kind of puffier, as you can see, kind of made a fuller sleeve that I've just finished with an elastic at the edge there, just to kind of recreate that same kind of boho-y, kind of peasant-y shoulder look that the original had. I actually think that it is very close to what the original dress looked like. I don't know if it's a bit much, especially it being in red though, compared to it being in black, because I feel like this seems very costumey in comparison. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know how you see it on me as opposed to me wearing it. I feel like that's two very different things a lot of the time. But I do feel like I'm wearing like a picnic mat, this is like the inside of a picnic basket. I feel like I do want to, carry a wicker basket around and go have a long picnic in a meadow somewhere. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. I'm really glad I made it. I'm not quite sure if I'm ever going to have the right occasion to wear it though, and that does worry me a little. That happens though. I'm going to move on and show you the next item. I managed to bash together quite a few last minute summer dress makes, and this was one of them. So this pattern is called the Rhea dress. It's from a new indie pattern designer called Tammy Handmade, and this is basically her first proper pattern from that. It's a really simple dress in that, it's a dartless bodice with spaghetti straps, and then a skirt made up of 2 tiers. It is meant to be a midi length dress. I've shortened my version, mostly because I didn't have a lot of fabric. This is a piece of cotton linen that I got from Stop and Still. I had originally intended to make a kind of top out of it, but at the last minute decided that actually it would work really well for a dress like this, but it meant that I only had 1.5 meters, and I think the pattern called for like 2.2 meters or something like that for the full length. So all I did was just shorten the skirt pieces, so that I got the max I could out of it in terms of the length, but just made it a little mini dress. I did shorten the bodice a little bit so that it would fit my height a bit better. Tammy, who is the designer behind the pattern, is quite tall. So I was like, she's drafting for someone who's kind of like 5'6", 5'8". I can automatically chop off a certain amount of length off the pattern there. It's got a nice low cut V on the front and even lower cut kind of curved back as well, as you can see here. It's just that kind of loose fit, really comfortable summer dress. I made it just in time to go on a boating holiday in Yorkshire, which you wouldn't imagine is the kind of place where you'd be able to, you know, wear a light floaty summer dress, but you'd be wrong. It was the middle of a heat wave, it was very hot, and this came in very, very handy there. I think that this is a pattern that I'll probably use again and again, only because I quite like this style of me. I've always liked that kind of like V-necks and spaghetti strap tops anyway, and I just feel like this is a really easy staple to go back to time and time again. You know, you don't need to worry about fit, you know, you can make it kind of straight off the bat, and you know that you're going to have something, you know what it's going to look like basically. Okay, all that's going to really change is things like your fabric choice and like maybe the length of the tiers of the skirt, maybe make it into the top, who knows. I think there's a lot of options with it anyway. I really like it. Managed to wear it quite a bit before the weather has changed, but yes, I'm going to keep talking about the weather I think through this whole video, but I really like it. I'm kind of sad to have to put it away, but I really don't think that there's a way for me to wear this through the winter. I mean, it's cream, very thin, even layered up. I think that it's going to look a little odd, but who knows. So this is yet another summer dress. I hope you're not surprised by now. So this dress was a really last minute dress. The last time it was worn, just at the end of September, I thought, you know, I've got one last chance to make something summery, let's go for it. I picked up this rose print viscose from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn, and I was like, this is going to look really good as a copy of this Ganni dress. So this dress had been popping up on my Instagram and Facebook feeds. Either people had got it and were wearing it, or in the adverts, and I was just like, it's so simple. Literally just looks like a kind of a really loose fit dress with a couple of lines of elastical shearing at the top, and that automatically creates this ruffly effect. I was like, I'll just make my own. Why are people making such a big fuss out of it? So I did make my own. I've got a tutorial up on my blog on how to make your own as well, so you always head there if you want to know all the kind of minute details. But the essentials are, it's a big rectangle with 2 channels of elastic here and here, and skinny straps, and that is it. I know, right? I've kept mine midi length. I managed to get it so that it's just above the ankle. I only had 2 meters of fabric, so I didn't have a huge amount to work with, so I ended up cutting it on the cross grain instead of the straight grain, which meant that I had a bit more room to maneuver, and I really like it. Like, I think that it came out exactly as I had envisioned it. I do wonder what it would look like in a stiffer fabric, because the originals are made out of a cotton poplin, or at least that's what they say on their website. I've not felt one in person, and a viscose is obviously a lot drapier than what cotton poplin would be. So it might be something that I do try again, maybe next summer, to make something in a slightly crisper fabric to see what that would look like. Basically, I think it would look more voluminous. I think the ruffles and things and the gathers would just look a bit more defined, and that's really it. But it was just a lot of fun to make and wear. I made it, it probably took me a couple of hours max to make this, and it was just, you know, just super easy to wear. It's like the ultimate kind of lounging dress really, which, let's face it, with the current world pandemic going on, loungewear is still very high up on the list of what we're wearing every day. Okay, so I actually have 2 Mira dresses to share with you today. 2. Isn't that crazy? I have been obsessed with this pattern since it came out. It was a Fibre Mood pattern that was out last summer, and I'm up to what, my 6th, 7th rendition of it. All the ones I make are all slightly different, so I'll show you what I've done differently with the two today. So this one I've made in a fabric from that was gifted to me from Good Fabrics. That's a new fabric shop which is only selling kind of sustainably sourced, eco-friendly fabrics. So things like Ecotex, Ecovera, all those kind of like tencels, all that kind of stuff basically. And Polina very kindly gifted me one of her fabrics. So this is actually, whilst it's sold from Good Fabric, it is from a brand called Atelier Jupe, which has a small range of fabrics and patterns. I really love this kind of deep green colour at the moment, so that's what I went for. So I wanted to make another midi length dress, similar to one that I've done previously that I lost. So I thought I would try to replicate that with this. I've kept it kind of midi length, so it's coming up to about mid calf. I kept the middle tier here just quite long, and a shorter tier towards the bottom. Hopefully you can kind of see that to some degree. It's got pockets in place, and the sleeve I've done my usual kind of slash and spread, and then finished it off with a cuff there just to give it a bit of volume there as well. I do wonder with this particular one whether I would have benefited from lengthening the bodice a little bit, because I feel like it's quite short for some reason. I don't know what I've done differently, because actually they're all the same. The bodice is one of those things that actually I very rarely change. But from the very beginning I had narrowed it very slightly towards the waist, and I have kept the same bodice front and back for pretty much every iteration that I've made. So you can see what it looks like. So again, it's got the keyhole opening on the back, oh, mind the tag, and a little button here. The tag is one of those F sizes, one from Stitch Collective, which I was gifted as well. They were a lot of fun. So yeah, it's super swishy, it's really comfortable. I love it to wear it with boots and a leather jacket. I think it's a really good transitional piece, really good for autumn. This dark kind of green jewel tones look always so good, and when the weather changes I always find like it gives me very kind of autumnal winter vibes. I'm going to show you what the second Mira dress looks like now. So this is the other Mira that I've made this summer, and this one is a super simple version of it. So I managed to nab the last 2 meters of this really lovely tulle from Cloth Spot. I managed to use a discount from the online sewing weekender, and I just loved the colour and the vibrancy of this kind of swatty fabric here. It's a viscose tulle, and I really wanted to make a midi length dress with it, but I only had 2 meters. I knew I was quite limited, so what I ended up doing was cutting out the bodice first. So the bodice is the same as the normal Mira bodice, same as before, and I decided to opt for a really simple sleeve with just a little turn up cuff here. And then I kind of assessed to see how much fabric I had left over to see what I wanted to do with the skirt, and actually at the end of the day I decided just to go for a really plain simple gathered skirt, so that it is to midi length. So again, it stops just above mid calf. Managed to get pockets in there as well, and just kept it really simple, and actually I think it worked really well. I think that it's a much more kind of casual wearable dress in that, you know, it's very much like you've just thrown it on, but I kind of like that. It worked really well for me this summer. It was great, you know, with just the denim jacket and trainers, and it was just a super comfortable make. The other change I did with this one as well is I left the back really open almost all the way, as you can see here as well. And that was just for a bit to change it up. I've got some bras with some nice backs, so I was quite just have it open or wear it braless, just to kind of change things up a little bit and make it a bit different from the previous versions that I've made. So this next make is one that I've made with fabric that was gifted to me from the fabric godmother. She Josie's gone into fabric production and has taken all these vintage prints and is putting them onto fabric, and she's got her own small little range from that. I wanted to try out this kind of really funky tiger print. It always reminds me of kind of old Chinese watercolour paintings, but also kind of a weird 70s Hawaiian shirt vibe. So I thought I would nab that one and see what I could do with it. So I ended up pairing that fabric with this pattern, which is the Fibre Mood Franca. Again, another one from this summer's issue, so the same one as the Elma dress, and the Mindy dress that I've shown you guys previously. So this pattern is kind of an oversized shirt pattern, which has a button placket on the front as opposed to buttons all the way down, so you can see this kind of deep button placket here. It's got this kind of oversized feel and really deep sleeves to it. I made a small modification where I just gathered the sleeves up slightly and put a cuff in, but it's the same length. I've also changed it. I also added some embellishments myself with these little tiger eye embroidery pieces on the front here, which I did by hand, and also on the back where I've outlined one of the tigers themselves as well. So I managed to get the yoke positioned in a way that had a kind of a single tiger just off centre. I really wanted to make that stand out a bit, so I've just gone around the outline of it with some black embroidery thread and just brought out the stripes a bit as well, just to give it, you know, a bit more life to the back as well. So I'm not sure how I feel about this make. It's a bit much in that, you know, it's a lot of print, it's a lot of colour for me. I say that after just showing you a bright pink dress, but it's, you know, it's a lot of blue for me, let's put it that way. I don't tend to wear that much blue. And just a lot of print. I've been trying to wear it with a belt and seeing how that works. I don't know if it's just that the pattern's not for me. It's a lot of dress. I did shorten it by 10 centimeters, by the way, for anyone who's also short. And it still ended up kind of down to mid-calf, even chopping off that much fabric. I've seen so many beautiful versions of the Franca on Instagram and online, you know, and I don't feel like it looked like this. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna put it away for a little bit and then maybe bring it out in a little bit in maybe a few months time and see how I feel about it then. It's a beautiful fabric, don't get me wrong, and maybe it's just the colour that's not quite vibing with me. But we'll see what happens. So this blouse I'm sharing with you right now is one from the pattern designer DP Studio, which is a French indie pattern brand that I'm sure I've spoken about before. And this is from their diffusion line, basically, but it's their range of simpler and cheaper patterns, basically. And the whole point of this range is that, you know, you're able to do them within, like, make the items within 3, 4, 5 steps, etc. So this blouse is one which has kind of these little pleats across the shoulder, so they go over the front and back. It's got this really deep sleeve opening and a cuff that finishes that, and it's meant to be kind of quite square in appearance. I actually don't think it goes very well with the jeans. It looks really cute with a pair of shorts, and I thought it would be a really nice summer top. I've made it in a cotton and steel rayon that I got maybe a couple of years ago from Semi Sunshine. It's the one with the ladies sunbathing on it, and I thought, oh, this would be a great way to show off the pattern. You know, it's quite a simple shape, and you know, there's not a lot of lines through it, so you can really see and enjoy the funky people who are sunbathing on there. Realistically, I actually think this pattern only really works with a pair of summer shorts. Not this pattern, this particular pattern and fabric combo only really works with a cute pair of summer shorts. So imagine it with like some denim shorts or something right now, and you can kind of see the vibe that I would be going for. I actually don't think it looks so cool with everything else, and maybe it's because it's people sunbathing on a beach, and that just doesn't seem to be appropriate when it's 10 degrees outside and, you know, everyone's bundled up in jumpers, you know. That being said, it's a really fun make, really easy to do. I love the feel of this fabric. It's so smooth and it feels absolutely lush on. But if I'm being realistic, there was no way that anything I made with this would be something that I would be wearing year long. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm hoping that come next summer it's something that I can bring out again and really enjoy wearing. So this blouse is one that I made actually quite early on this summer. I made this as a pattern tester for Selkie patterns, and it's called the Rosetti blouse. It also comes as a dress version. Basically it's this peplum that's full length, but I decided to make the blouse version. I always find it difficult with testing is that I really enjoy helping out these new indie pattern companies, especially friends and people I know, but there's always that element of actually, will I like it? Not everyone gives you a line drawing. They might give you a vague description of what it's going to be like, and unfortunately I find that sometimes I commit to things that actually I find that I don't like that much afterwards. So there's nothing wrong with this pattern itself, don't get me wrong, it's just not particularly my style, which is why I went for the blouse version, because I knew that there was a little bit less commitment with that. The skirt of the full length version, I say full length, I think comes as knee length and midi length. It just requires a lot of fabric because it's cut on the bias, and I just didn't have that to hand anyway. So the blouse itself is really nice and simple. It's got this crossover front that ends at your natural waist, and then a peplum that comes out from there. The sleeves have this kind of grown on sleeve, so the back is all one piece, that upper yoke of the sleeve. Although the front does come in pieces because it's got little gathers here. It's also got options for lots of kind of additional ruffles and things that if you wanted to add those on. So I added on the ruffle that goes across the front yoke. There's also options to go for ruffles to go along the neckline and around the waist and around the hem of the skirt, for example, as well. But I thought that this was the kind of practical choice when it came to putting ruffles in. I'll give you a little tour and you can see what it looks like from the back as well. So you can see there's gathers across the top here and then into that gathered waist. The waist is just gathered in with some elastic there as well. I mean, it's cute. I actually think it's quite flattering. I just have no occasion at which I would ever wear this, which sounds kind of harsh. I think it's perfect for someone who's, you know, in an office. Not that anyone's in an office right now, or, you know, someone who needs to be quite smart for work. I don't need to be smart for work. I can go to work in specs because I change into scrubs as soon as I get there. So I feel like it's kind of a wasted opportunity on me a little bit. I mean, I might find that there's an occasion for me to wear it at some point in the future, but at the moment there really isn't. The fabric that I use is like a polyester georgette, I want to call it. It's one that I got from FC Fabric Studio, and that is the shop that comes attached to the Fashion Training Academy. I think that's what it's called, in North London when I visited there a few years ago. But I mean, I love the colour, don't get me wrong. I think this green is absolutely lush. And I think that this fabric and pattern actually married together quite well. But yeah, it's just, I don't know when I'm going to wear it. So this is actually quite a practical make for me for once. I knitted this jumper during lockdown. It took me a while to kind of finish blocking and embellishing it, but I finally got around to doing it. I made this, it's a cotton jumper. It's made out of the Shiny Happy cotton from Will & Gang in Midnight Navy. And I used the app called Bellish for my knitting pattern. So it's a knitting pattern generator app. You can put in, you can select kind of what type of garment you want. They've only got a couple on there at the moment, but I know that they're planning to expand. So they've got an option for a raglan sweater or a beanie. You can decide on the kind of style of your sweater in this case. So kind of a cropped length, split hem, sleeve length, neck type, for example. And it gives you a couple of options for different weights of wool that you can use with it. And then you put in your measurements, so you pick what kind of chest size you are, and from there it will generate your pattern instructions, how much yarn you'll need, for example, and all of that's all together on the app. It's got things to help you count your your knit rows and all of that kind of stuff as well, which is all really handy. I always use my phone for knitting patterns and knit counters and things like that, so actually it was really nice to have that all together in one app. The jumper I went for was super simple. I went for a really plain stocking knit stitch, no frills, kind of jumper, and I kept it really cropped in the length and kind of a standard arm as well, and I just went for a round normal crew neck. This was the first jumper that I've knitted top down, so that was really interesting for me, learning how to kind of do all the increase and everything to create the raglan sleeve. I think the fit's really good, so I put in my actual measurements for the chest, and this is the ease that it came with, which I think is about right for a jumper like this and the fit that it had shown in the app. So I really like that. I decided to keep it plain because what I had wanted to do is then to just embellish it instead. I had all these plans for like all these interesting things to put on it, and in the end I just went for this kind of sprinkle type look, which I found someone else had done something not the same, but something that inspired me on Pinterest. So I used just different colours of embroidery thread, and I've done kind of little dashes and plus signs. If you look closely, what you can see is that all the plus sign symbols or X's are in warm tones, and all the dashes or minus symbols are in cool tones, which probably no one will care about me, but I thought that was quite amusing. I just did it over the top half of the sweater, and I did that on the front and the back. So yeah, I loved knitting during lockdown. I felt like it was like something that I could, really get into and really spend the time on, which I would normally not spend the time on, which is why knitting jumpers for me has always taken so long in the past. I actually managed to get this done pretty quickly, the actual knitting part. It is quite a chunky yarn. I think this is a Aran worsted weight, I can't remember. Fine, I'm not that up on my knowledge about knitting, but it knitted up pretty quickly and I'm super happy with how it turned out. That's all I can ask for, really. So this pair of shorts I'm showing you now is another pattern from the DP Studio Diffusion line. I bought both this one and the pattern that I showed you earlier during the sales in February that the pattern company had when they announced they were closing down. The good news is that recently, just a couple of weeks ago, last week even, they announced that they were going to stay open. So I think they're restocking a lot of their old patterns. I think they're having new stuff out as well, which is all really exciting because they are one of my favourite pattern designers. So this shorts pattern I thought was quite interesting. It has this kind of paper bag front but a really fitted back, as you can see. So it's got quite a nice shape kind of around the bum. It's got deep pockets, it's got this deep pleat on the front, and it closes with this tie here. There's no other closures to it. Literally, it's just this tie that gathers everything in towards the front. I'm quite lucky in that I've got quite a big kind of waist to hip ratio, and that it goes out quite a lot, which means that if I tie it reasonably tightly, I'm not worried about it slipping down or anything. But I do wonder if you wear the other way around, with a bigger waist to hip ratio, then you may find that this is not so comfortable. I thought it was an interesting thing to try. I made this with a piece of remnant rust coloured linen that I got from Semi Sunshine. I think it's a great use of a small bit of fabric. I'm not sure I'm going to manage to use it a couple times this summer, but I'm not sure about the shape on me because you can see how much volume you get towards the front. And I don't know if it's a case of that it actually looks bad or if I'm just not used to this kind of style. It's a very odd thing, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to put it back in the wardrobe. We'll see it again next summer. We'll see how we feel about it then. So I've got yet another Fibre Mood pattern to share with you now. This is the Hettie skirt. I know I make a lot of Fibre Mood patterns, partly because I have them. I subscribed to them a year ago, so I've had a year's supply of magazines already, and my little sister just got me a new subscription for the coming year, for my birthday, so I'll probably see more of them to come, I'm not gonna lie. But the Hettie sket's actually one that I made earlier this year. I made it, I think February, March time, something around then, and it's this kind of midi-length tiered skirt. I really wanted to do another version where I could put buttons up the front and make it a little maxi length kind of boho version of it, and this was after I saw a really gorgeous version by Victoria on Instagram. I'll show you a picture of hers right now, where she put in kind of these faux buttons down the front, and I was like, wait, they don't need to be faux. You put in real buttons and have a proper button front skirt and it would work just as well. So that's what I did. So I used this really lovely, this is one of another cotton and steel fabric. It's one of their rayons from their Primavera collection. I got it as a remnant piece from Sew Me Sunshine, or 2 remnant pieces that I cobbled together to make this. It actually used a lot more fabric than you think. You forget that, or I forgot, that these fabrics are really narrow, and you really just don't get as much meterage out of them as you would hope. So I'll show you what that looks like all the way around. It's just quite fun. I've always wanted a floral maxi skirt like this, so I'm kind of like living my dreams in a way. I'm not sure that this was actually the right fabric for this. It's perfect in that actually it doesn't crease that much for some reason, but I'm not quite sure I'm in love with the print on a style like this. Like, I don't know if I should have gone for a much more simpler floral print, but we'll see. I still wear it, I don't hate it, so we'll see how I get on with that in the future. So this next make is one that I actually planned to show you in my last video, but managed to completely forget about it. This is the tempo jacket from Atelier Scammit. I was gifted the pattern, and I chose to make a kind of utility style patchwork jacket from it. I've gone full on Canadian tux for you today, so jeans, denim jacket, just to show this off. So the jacket itself comes with lots of different options and variations. The general gist is the same in that it's, you know, this kind of boxy shape, a 2-part sleeve, and kind of quite a traditional collar on the top. I'll just move my hair out the way so you can see, and like a button placket down the front. I opted to put in the pleated pockets on the bottom, with the flap, and the plain pockets on the top, although there are options to put in things like welted pockets as well and all sorts with it. There's options for things like a belt to go with it, for the little epaulette flap things on the top as well. I decided not to kind of put all those extra bits, just kept it really, really practical. So what I wanted to do was use lots of remnant bits of denim that I had lying around. You know, all those offcuts from when I've made jeans, and when you make jeans they always tell you to buy, you know, that little bit of extra fabric just in case you need to recut like a yoke piece or something like that. So I always ended up with pieces that were, you know, about 50-70 centimeters long that I didn't know what to do with, so I thought this would be a great way of using that. So I think that all 3 of the denims that I use were all used to make jeans from Closet Case Patterns. These 2 were for ginger jeans, and the light stuff was from a pair of Morgan jeans. I actually think this stuff is this denim, so this is the actual denim that I use for these jeans as well. And so I did the panels on the front differently, and all the pockets differently, as you can see, and all the sleeves differently, and on the back I actually chopped up the back panel to create this. So it's a real patchwork on the back there, and on the back of the yoke on this side I've just done a little bit of embroidery, just to write bonjour on it. I just figured for a French pattern company it seemed appropriate to kind of jazz things up in that way. It is unlined, so you can see here I did bind all the edges with some bias binding that I had made, just to kind of keep things fun on the inside, and I did choose to line the top yoke piece. Actually, if I take this off now, you can have a look and see what that looks like on the inside as well. So I thought I made it quite pretty on the inside for once, so I was quite proud of myself for that. It is a thin jacket, so this was very much a summer jacket. It's not really appropriate in the weather at the moment, but hopefully once it warms up again, I'll be able to use it again. I just really enjoy wearing it. So the last couple things I've got to show you is a set. So I was gifted something. I was gifted a lot of fabric this summer, or maybe I just accepted more fabric because I had nothing else to do because we were all stuck indoors. Anyway, this is a fabric that I got from by Graziella. So this is actually a German company that's just moving over to the UK. They've just opened up their online fabric store just this summer, and they are taking Graziella, who's the mum in the mother-daughter company, her iconic 70s designs and putting them onto fabric, and they have done like really well over in Europe. They're quite well known. They've got loads of different kind of fabrics and prints available. They're known for these really bright graphic prints, really bold colours. I got a couple of meters of their lemon fabric, so it's called Lemony Lemons. It's a French terry, and this is what I made with them. So bear in mind it was really warm again when I made these. So these are what I call my lemon bloomers. I made these using a self-drafted pattern that I had taken from a pair of shorts that I really liked. And what I did, those were just kind of a pair of little shorts. You would have seen them in a previous video when I made the tie-dye pair of shorts. It's the same pattern. All I've done with that is just taken it up by 5 centimeters and taking it in slightly, and then added on quite a deep waistband to that. What I've also then done to the leg is added on this ruffle all the way around there, which I finished with a roll hem on the edge. By pulling on the fabric as I did the roll hem on my overlocker, that just made the ruffle a bit more, which is why it's got this really kind of wibbly effect there, which is exactly what I wanted. Unfortunately, I did not put enough attention in and didn't pattern match the front, although I did pattern match the back, as you can see, which looks a lot better. Really should have paid more attention when I did the front side of things, but no matter, it's not going to stop me wearing them. They are very short shorts. You know, they're very much like a holiday short. I love them, they're fun, they're kind of really easy to wear, they look great with a little top and shorts. You know, you can wear them to the beach, you can kind of wear them out. What I also did was made a matching hoodie though with the remainder of the fabric. As you can imagine, this didn't take up very much. And the other thing I made was this. Just get it on super quick for you. So this is the matching hoodie that I made. I used the Stella pattern from Tilly and the Buttons, so again similar to the previous tie-dye set that I made, but I've just made this one shorter. I've used a smaller pattern, so the previous version of the Stella I made it really oversized. This one I did a more traditional sizing, so I've done it the same as what I've done previously. I've just straightened out the size. This is a size 4. What I've done is done contrast cuffs here, and then a contrast lining on the hood. When I say contrast, just a plain lining on the hood, and but the pockets I did keep as lemon stuff just because I had that. If you can see, I actually even tried to match up my pocket so that the lemons all match up after the disaster of the shorts. I was like, I need to put more effort into this pattern matching business. Anyway, it's really cute, it's a really fun set. The top is something that I tend to wear, you know, it's perfect for going for a jog or going to the gym or something like that. The shorts are probably, you know, they'll be good for lounging about the house when it's, you know, if it's warm enough inside. Otherwise they're going to be put away till next summer as well. But, you know, it's just such fun fabric, it's just a fun outfit, and I'm just really happy that I was lucky enough to have been gifted it in the first place. You can buy this, by the way, it is available. So it's not like you can't get it, but I was just felt very lucky with all the fabrics that I got recently. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed all of that. I know there was a lot to get through. A lot of summer makes, of course, because this is all my kind of end of July, August, September stuff, and we were really lucky and had some really good weather right up to the end of September. Literally, I think as soon as it turned kind of officially autumn, the weather changed. It was very odd. Anyway, as much as I love a lot of these makes, I know that a lot of them will be going back into the cupboards and won't really see the light of day until next summer. But that does mean that I get to get out all my warm wintry stuff now, all those kind of dresses to wear with tights and all those woolly jumpers and things, so that's going to be a lot of fun, just getting all those old things out again. I have lots of plans for more autumn and winter makes, however, at the rate at which I'm sewing at the moment, I might not get any of them done. Who knows? I planned for 3 coats and I'm just like, that may have been kind of a bit excessive on my part. I don't think that that all 3 will be done. I would very much hope so though. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will hopefully see you again soon. Bye guys.